being here, we have to win to extend our season and to get it back home. And I think it's a great opportunity for us. You go back and watch the film, and I think that as a competitor, like, you hate sitting around a couple of days. Like, you want to get to this game and you're really fired up for it. So I think that's the way our team's approaching it. And, we know it's a great opportunity, but we also know it's a great challenge for us, but not anything you shy away from.
25 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds. Caitlin Clark's final game was insane, but it's not the stats everyone's talking about. It's the foul that wasn't called. Let's break down this crazy game. Clark's making history as a rookie, playing like she's been in the league for years. But here's where things get wild. Picture this. Clark's in the zone, then boom, Marina Mabrey hits her in the head. You'd think the ref would blow the whistle, right? Nope, nothing. It's like they were watching a different game.
We find so many ways where we can improve and have been a lot better offensively and defensively, and we know we could have been right there in that game. And hopefully we shoot the ball a little bit better tonight. You would like to think a lot of averages would play out for you. Yeah, I felt like there was definitely some, and we went back and we watched, and we had, I think we calculated like 28 points where it was like kind of like a wide open look for us where we didn't execute.
This wasn't just any missed call. It's got people talking, and not just about this game. There's a bigger story here about the WNBA, and trust me, you're gonna want to stick around to hear it. Things are heating up, and it's not just on the court. You think that foul was wild? It gets even crazier. Clark went from hero to victim in a single game. What turned her dominant performance into a devastating loss? Let's talk about Caitlin Clark's roller coaster of a game. This rookie sensation came out swinging, looking like she'd been playing in the league for years. In the first half, Clark was on fire. She was dishing out passes like a magician, sinking shots that had the crowd going wild, and grabbing rebounds like they were magnetized to her hands.
Say we make half of those, like that's 14 points right there. So you're definitely happy with some of the shots you get, but at the same time, we weren't happy with some other shots that we did get. So I think we got to work the offense a little bit more. Got to play with more pace. I thought it was a lot of standing in our half-court offense.
The Indiana Fever were riding high on Clark's energy, and it looked like they were about to run away with the game. But then, bam! The third quarter hit, and it was like someone flipped a switch. The Fever's strong start? It just crumbled. The Connecticut Sun started clawing their way back, and suddenly Clark and her team were on the back foot. It was like watching a completely different game. Now, here's where things get really intense. Picture this. Clark's trying to rally her team, pushing hard to regain control. She's driving towards the basket, focused, determined. And then, out of nowhere, Marina Mabrey comes in hot. There's contact and not just a little bump. We're talking a hit to the head that should have had the refs blowing their whistles like crazy. But guess what? Nothing. Nada. It's like the refs were watching a different game or something.
It didn't feel good. I think for me especially is just try to move, play a little faster, play with some more pace, make them have to guard us from side to side. I think it's going to be really important.
This wasn't just any missed call, it was a game changer. Clark, who'd been dominating earlier, was suddenly thrown off her rhythm. The Fever's momentum, gone. Just like that, the Sun seized control, and the scoreboard started telling a different story. By the final buzzer, what looked like a sure win for the Fever turned into a heartbreaking 87-81 loss. Clark's stats were still impressive. 25 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds, but those numbers don't tell the whole story. They don't show how she had to fight through that uncalled foul, how she had to keep her cool when the game was slipping away. After the game, Clark didn't make excuses. She's tough as nails, this one. Instead of complaining about the refs, she focused on what her team could have done better. "We know we could have been right there in this game," she said. It's like she was already thinking about how to turn this loss into fuel for the next game. But Clark didn't stop there. She broke down the game, showing that rookie or not, she's got a veteran's mind for strategy. We had, points where it was kind of like a wide open look for us where we didn't execute, she admitted. That's the kind of honest self-reflection that separates good players from great ones. You know what's wild? Even in a loss, even after that controversial no call, Clark's still making waves. She's not just playing the game, she's changing it. Her performance, her attitude, her resilience. It's all part of why fans can't get enough of her. Clark's no call wasn't a one-off. It's part of a bigger problem that's been plaguing the WNBA. How bad is it? Fans are losing their minds and the league's integrity is on the line. You thought Clark's game was the only drama. Think again. The WNBA's been dealing with ref issues all season long, and it's getting ugly. We're talking missed calls, inconsistent rulings, and fans screaming at their screens. It's like every game is turning into a referee roast session. Remember that foul on Clark? It wasn't just a blip on the radar, it was more like the straw that broke the camel's back. Fans have been watching refs mess up all season, and they're done staying quiet. Social media is blowing up with people calling out the officials, sharing clips of bad calls, and demanding changes. But here's the kicker. It's not just about one player or one team. This ref drama is hitting the whole league where it hurts. We're seeing games where the players don't even know what to expect anymore. 1 minute, they're playing physical, the next, they're getting called for breathing too hard. It's like the refs are playing their own game of guess what's a foul today. And you know what's really wild? This controversy is overshadowing what should be an epic celebration of women's basketball. We've got rookies like Clark breaking records left and right, viewership numbers through the roof, and some of the most exciting gameplay we've seen in years. But instead of talking about all that awesomeness, everyone's focused on the refs dropping the ball. Fans aren't just mad, they're worried. They're questioning whether they can trust what they're seeing on the court. When a game comes down to the wire and a crucial call gets missed, it's not just disappointing, it's making people wonder if the whole system needs an overhaul. The WNBA's in a tough spot. They've got this amazing product with incredible athletes, but the officiating issues are like a dark cloud hanging over everything. It's not just about individual games anymore. It's about the integrity of the entire league. And here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just fans complaining for the sake of complaining. We're seeing a real push for change. People are calling for better training for refs, more accountability, maybe even some new tech to help make sure calls are right. It's like the whole WNBA community is saying enough is enough. We deserve better. The league's gotta be feeling the heat. They're trying to grow the game, attract new fans, and showcase these incredible athletes. But every time there's a controversial call, it's like taking 2 steps back. They're in a position where they can't ignore this anymore. Something's gotta give. So what's next? That's the million-dollar question. Will the WNBA make changes before next season? Are we gonna see new rules, better trained refs, or maybe some fancy new replay system? One thing's for sure, the fans aren't going to let this slide. They're invested, they're passionate, and they're ready to see some real improvements. Forget the refs for a second, let's zoom out. This whole mess is exposing something way bigger than just one bad call. It's shining a light on a league that's exploding in popularity, but struggling to keep up with its own growth. And that's where things get really interesting. You know what's wild? This Caitlin Clark drama isn't just about one player or one game. It's like a spotlight on the entire WNBA, showing us where the league's killing it and where it needs some serious work. And let me tell you, there's a lot to unpack here. First off, let's talk about how this game broke records, not just for Clark's insane stats, but for how many people tuned in to watch. We're talking viewership numbers that are making the big shots at the WNBA do a double take. People are hungry for women's basketball, and they're showing up in force. But here's the thing, with all these new eyes on the game, every little hiccup gets magnified. That missed call on Clark, it wasn't just a blip, it was like a wake-up call for the whole league. Fans are getting louder, demanding better officiating, better rules, better everything. And you know what? The WNBA's got to listen. This controversy is pushing the league to step up its game. We're talking potential changes that could reshape how the WNBA operates. Imagine better trained refs, new review systems, maybe even tweaks to the rule book. It's like the league's being forced to grow up fast, and it's all because fans and players aren't staying quiet anymore. And at the center of it all, stars like Caitlin Clark. These rookies are coming in hot, playing like they've been in the league for years, and they're not afraid to speak up when things aren't right. Clark's not just changing the game on the court, she's part of a new generation that's pushing for change off the court too. Think about it. Every time a player like Clark makes headlines, it's not just about her stats. It's bringing attention to everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And right now, a lot of that attention is on how the league handles officiating. But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about fixing a few bad calls. It's about the WNBA figuring out how to handle its own success. The league's growing faster than anyone expected, and now it's got to keep up. That means better training for refs, maybe investing in some fancy new tech to help with calls, and definitely taking a hard look at how they run things behind the scenes. You want to know the craziest part? All this drama might actually be good for the WNBA in the long run. Yeah, you heard that right, because now the league can't ignore these issues anymore. They've got to make changes, and those changes could take women's basketball to a whole new level. Imagine a WNBA where the officiating is top-notch, where controversial calls are a thing of the past. Picture games where the focus is 100% on the incredible athleticism and skill of players like Clark, not on whether the refs messed up. That's the kind of league that could attract even more fans, more sponsors, more everything. And it's not just about the WNBA. This whole situation is shining a light on women's sports in general. It's showing that fans care, that they're passionate, and that they expect the best. It's proving that women's basketball deserves the same level of professionalism and attention to detail as any other pro sport. So yeah, that missed call on Caitlin Clark, it wasn't just a mistake, it was a turning point. It's got people talking, thinking, and demanding action. And in the end, that could be exactly what the WNBA needs to take its game to the next level. Alright, let's wrap this up. Caitlin Clark's game was insane, right? 25 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds. She's not just playing, she's making history. But that foul, that wasn't called. It's got everyone talking. It's not just about one game or one player anymore. This is bigger than Clark. It's about the whole WNBA. The league's blowing up, getting more fans than ever, but with all these eyes watching, every mistake is under a microscope. That missed call on Clark, it's like a wake-up call for the whole league. Fans are demanding better refs, better rules, better everything. So here's the big question, is this the moment that forces the WNBA to make real changes, or are we just gonna see more of the same next season? What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments.